Let's bring in NBC News Justice reporter Ryan Riley, and Tim Miller is back with me. Ryan, you not only spoke to Fanone, you also have new reporting from federal judges who are very upset about these pardons. What do you know?
Yeah, so the federal judges here have issued a lot of, have had opinions. So 3 of them so far have issued opinions basically trying to lay out their opposition to these pardons while, going through with their duties, because obviously under the Constitution, the president has this ability to pardon, but sort of registering, I think, their dissent in a way and saying that, regardless of these pardons and regardless of what Donald Trump has decided to do, that the history of January 6th itself cannot be erased. And the evidence that has been laid out in these court proceedings is irrefutable, and it shows that this mob of Donald Trump supporters who believed his lies about the 2020 election brutally assaulted law enforcement officers that day, and dragged some of them down the steps, drove tasers into their necks, assaulted them with bear spray, pepper spray, used furniture against them, bashed in those windows, kicked them in the head. I could go on and on and on. And it's all been proven in court, and regardless of what Donald Trump has decided to do here and to pardon these individuals, that has been proven in court, and the evidence still stands. Judge Chutkan, who actually oversaw Donald Trump's January 6th case before it was dismissed upon his election last year, said that you cannot erase she said you cannot erase the feces and the terror that we saw inside of the Capitol that day. And she cited a case which, in one of her cases that she there was evidence and proof that feces were smeared in the U.S. Capitol that day. And she said that obviously that what happened here should not be erased and should not be whitewashed through history. And I think that's what a lot of the prosecutors here feel. And, I've been chatting with some of the former prosecutors, and they've been telling me that they stand by what they did. And the evidence will stand for itself. The record will stand for itself, even though it appears that the Trump administration is doing everything it can to erase that history by wiping some of the websites of that information. It still will survive, and it will still go down in history.
So, Tim, the evidence is well known. What was done there to people like Officer Fanone is well known. So what do you think about Donald Trump saying it would be really cumbersome to have to go through 1,500 different cases, I guess, and then figure out which ones should and shouldn't get pardoned?
Being pathetic. Doing the work of government is cumbersome. It's hard, right, to be fair and to be just, right? Like, this stuff does take work. It took work. It was cumbersome for the prosecutors and for the judges and for all the juries that looked at all of this evidence, the juries that are peers, Americans who volunteered their time and determined in many of these cases that that the accused were guilty. And so, look, it also wouldn't have been that cumbersome just really as an aside. You could have just gone to Ryan Riley's Twitter feed and looked through to see the ones that attacked police and said, okay, we'll put them in a pile for review later. So, look, I talked to Sergeant Goodell, who's one of the other sergeants. He showed up there, and he's just furious, and he should be. And he served the country multiple times. He was protecting the Capitol. He sent me the pictures of his hands and feet and how they looked that day, and bruised and battered. And it's despicable that they wouldn't have taken the time to at least look at the people who violently attacked these cops and treated them differently.
We do know that, and we've talked about this on the Hill, people seem like they live in 2 different countries sometimes. Yeah. But on this issue as well, the divide couldn't be more stark.
These pardons are sick. They are offensive. They are un-American. And I don't ever want to hear about law and order from your side again, Mr. Speaker, when your side is letting criminals back on the streets. Criminals who beat cops and tried to overthrow our government.
The president's made a decision. We move forward. There are better days ahead of us. That's what we're excited about. We're not looking backwards. We're looking forward. They call it the Biden crime family. If they weren't the crime family, why do they need pardons, right? Look, there's a lot of attention that's going to be paid to this, and I think that is appropriate, and we will be looking at it as well.
We will be looking at it. And then Trump said that Biden got bad advice to pardon everybody but himself. What are you expecting for Joe Biden?
Well, kind of a dark irony is because of the Trump cases, he has broad immunity for actions that happened when he was president. So I don't think President Biden has a ton to worry about. It is ironic listening to Mike Johnson there. It's like, we're not looking back when it comes to pardoning the cop beaters, But we are going to look back when it comes to the Biden administration. And it's almost not even worth pointing out the rank hypocrisy. I didn't really agree with particularly some of the family pardons that President Biden did, and I think it'd be fine to look into some of that. But a lot of this is just obvious political posturing and hypocritical.